welcome back. Today we're going to talk about possessives, right? So mine, your, his, hers, their, those kinds of things, right? So let's get to it. So the first thing to remember is that, like many things in Portuguese, they depend on the gender, right, of the word, right? So O is masculine, right? A is feminine, right? So we're talking about me, right? Eu, right? Say me. There's a couple different ways we can do this. So we can say meu, minha, meus, minhas, right? So meu is singular masculine. So you can say meu gato, my cat. Okay? Minha would be something with the A article, right? So casa, my house. Meus would be plural of a masculine, right? So you can say meus cadernos, my notebooks, minhas amigas, my friends, if they're girls, right? So fairly simple, right? So that's for me, right? For I. So I'm going to erase this, okay? And then we're going to talk about the other forms, okay? So I will keep those little gender article thing up on the top, just so you remember, because that will come in handy for everything. So now, if we have you, right? So we have you, he, she. I'm going to teach you the form that's used more frequently, right? There are some regions that may do it a little differently. I'll teach you about that in a second, very briefly, but I just want to mention this, right? Seu, sua, seus, suas, right? So seu is the male singular of your, his or hers, right? So seu carro could be your, his, or her. It depends on the context, right? Sua, let's do geladeira. Your, oh, it's car here. This is your, his or her refrigerator, right? I think we learned that verb, that word. Seus would be masculine yet plural. Right, so let's do seus carros. Okay, and suas. Let's do something like suas casas. Your houses. Right? So it does very much depend on the gender of the word you're describing, right? So male or female. Okay, so I'm gonna erase this again, and I'm gonna teach you something very brief, but it really doesn't need to be used that much. So in some regions of Brazil, they speak a little bit differently. So the thing I just taught you, that seu, sua, all that stuff, that is, actually like third person kind of thing, right? So it's like his or hers, but it's also used for you in most cases. There is something just for you, or I should say your, right? So it can be teu, tua, teus, tuas. And that literally means yours. Now this is only spoken in some parts of Brazil. You can hear it in Rio, you hear it in northern Brazil, maybe somewhere like Bahia or Pernambuco, somewhere around there. But I'm not going to give examples, but it is something that you may hear. So, for example, you say, if you're pointing to a car and you say seu carro, and there's a group of people, technically, you could be talking to any of those people and asking, is that your car? Es seu carro. That could be, is that your car, his car, her car? It just depends on who he's looking at, who he's pointing to, that kind of thing. But if a person were to say, e teu carro, it literally means your car, okay? But the sua version that I just went over is much more common. So you probably won't hear this version, teu and tua. Probably will not hear that much. Okay. So now let's get to we, nos, right? Nos is we. So if we say nosso, nossa, nossos, nossas, right? So that's our, right? It's ours all the way down, and then whatever the case, nosso iPad. I don't even know if iPad is masculine or feminine, but you get the idea. Nosso iPad, nossa mesa, or table, and then if you wanted to use these, nossos, nossas, it would just be the plural, right? So it depends on the article, and if it's singular or plural, right? So then you just add the s, right? Fairly simple. And there is actually one last thing I do want to mention. So it has to do with possessives, but it doesn't actually have like a pronoun like these, right? It's not very clear. So let me go over that. This is something that's extremely common. I use it all the time. So if you say, so let's do a question. Onde está ele? Right? Where is he? Right? You could say, ele está na sua casa. He is in, remember the in with the article, na sua casa, right? Ele está na sua casa. Technically, that can mean he is at his house, or it can actually mean he is in your house. It depends on the way the person speaks, right? Ela está na sua casa, right? It's indicating that she's actually in your house. Or sua could also be his, right? We talked about that a couple minutes ago. It's not very direct. Sua can mean yours, his, or hers. Now, what's most common, you'll hear this. Ela está na casa dele. Much more common. Much more common. Right? So what does that mean? He is in the house of him, right? Of him, his house. Right? So casa. It's Eli right here. De, Eli, deli. Right? So you can also use that for, de la. Right? So that's another very simple way of saying it that is also very common. And I prefer that. So instead of worrying about seu, su, nossos, that kind of thing, you're going to say, where is he? He's in the house, literally means house of him, his house. De plus ele. So we've talked about where you have the situations where they sort of contract, or they put together two words right here. Right? Remember, na, in a casa dele, in the, they combine it, it makes na, right? So it just simplifies things. So I'll give you one more example of this whole deli della nonsense, okay? So let's imagine we're asking a question. So if you see a cat right on the street, esse gato é de quem? This cat is of whom? G is of, and quem is who, right? So esse gato é de quem? So you could say, esse gato é dele. You know, you point at somebody. Esse gato é dele. It's his. Or you could say, é dele. It is his, right? So definitely, I'll definitely put a PDF including this whole dele dela grammatical thing up on there because it's certainly very important, very common. Okay? So remember, we have meu, minha, meus, minhas, seu, seus, sua, suas, nosso, nossa, nossos, nossas, dele, delis, dela, delas. All right, so I'll definitely put that up. If you have any questions, please put in the commentary section. But I think it was pretty straightforward. All right, have a nice day, everybody. Take care.